Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, as you can probably see, those of you watching on YouTube and Rumble, I am not in my studio. I'm actually in Washington, D.C. I'm recording from a conference room, but we got very important news that you need to know about, so make sure you watch and listen to the end. Okay, folks, let's start with the price of Bitcoin because, of course, there was a big pullback. Bitcoin currently sitting at just over $66,000. So are we heading lower? It's not 100% confirmed as yet. Yes, there are bearish signals. Yes, it looks like Bitcoin's breaking out of the bear flag, but it is not in the oversold zone as yet. So there's still an opportunity for it to move higher. And the other factor I'm looking at is that the stock market, you look at the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, they're approaching levels of being oversold and even support levels that we've seen in the past where we could have a very strong bounce. Now, that's not guaranteed. I think many of you know we talk about different scenarios and what's the probability of them playing out. So I'm mainly looking at the stock market to be an indicator here for what crypto may do. So if the S&P 500 and so forth bounces maybe over the next couple of weeks or so, we could see Bitcoin continue its relief rally. Again, this is not a move to new all-time highs. So we're going to see Bitcoin do its move and then altcoins will follow. Now, that could all be invalidated with some sort of negative news coming out about Iran or much more. So we are in very volatile times, but looking at the charts with the S&P 500 in the oversold zone, I'm anticipating a bounce sooner than later, and I hope that will work out well for crypto. Now, something that's interesting, Elon Musk appears to be starting to talk about Bitcoin and crypto again. We've seen this before. This is nothing new. Someone tweeted at him saying, hey, Elon, can you ask Grok to animate some sort of picture here with an anime character with Bitcoin's logo in the back? And he did it. And, Elon is very calculated. So that's why I'm sharing this news with you. We know that he does not tweet or say things without some sort of an agenda behind it or some motive, right? So the fact that he's starting to dabble a bit more into Bitcoin conversation is something to pay attention to, especially as X is planning to launch its different payment systems. And, Elon's vision for X is to make it the WeChat for the United States. So something to pay attention to. In addition, if we look at what big players are doing, they are accumulating. And here we have news that Trump-backed American Bitcoin hits 7,000 Bitcoin as holdings expand rapidly. Now, you got to read between the lines here. Remember, Trump and his family, whether you love him or hate him, they're about making money. And the fact that they're continuing to mine Bitcoin, they're holding the Bitcoin they're mining, even in the bear market. They're not selling, guys. It means they are anticipating higher prices. And I'm sure they're going to wait for new all-time highs to start taking, their profits and so forth. So American Bitcoin reserves reached 7,000 Bitcoin, roughly tripling in under 7 months. So very, very interesting, even though the price of American Bitcoin stock is not doing well. But the point is they're not even selling anything. They're just holding. So that is something to pay attention to. And on the Ethereum front, BitMine makes the biggest Ether purchase in 2026, while other digital asset treasuries pull back. So Tom Lee's Ethereum treasury bought more than 71,000 ETH over the past week. Wow. Remaining the sole large corporate crypto buyer as Strategy broke its 13-week Bitcoin purchase streak. Now, a lot of people are saying a lot of stuff about Michael Saylor's strategy, about how they stopped buying, but they've done this on at the end of quarters, they'll pause, right? So we're wrapping up Q1 here. He'll probably start again in mid-April or something along those lines. So nothing to read into there. It's just simply the whole reporting schedule and much more. Now, speaking of ETH, be sure to check out my interview with Joseph Shalom, CEO of SharpLink. He's a former BlackRock executive. He was heading up BlackRock's crypto initiative. He helped them to launch that. And he's heading up SharpLink, which is an Ethereum treasury company. So that interview was published earlier today. So be sure to check it out. Now, the big news of the day, in my opinion, is the Labor Department today proposed a rule following an executive order from President Trump that directed regulators to expand access to digital assets in retirement portfolios. So if you recall, President Trump signed the executive order to open up 401ks to invest in alternative assets. Now, that's not just for crypto, it's in other items as well. But obviously, we're a crypto podcast. So we're going to talk about the crypto aspect. And many people still don't have access to crypto in their retirement. So this would absolutely bring in tons of capital. So the U.S. Department of Labor has proposed a rule prompted by an August executive order from President Donald Trump that would make it easier for 401k plans to include alternative assets such as cryptocurrencies, private equity, and real estate. If adopted, the rule would mark a shift from traditional stock and bond focused 401ks by allowing plan providers to add a broader mix of assets, including digital tokens and private market funds. Supporters say the change could improve diversification and reflect how people already invest outside of retirement accounts, while critics like Senator Elizabeth Warren warn it could expose workers to higher risk, fees, and potential losses. So again, this will be a massive on-ramp for crypto as well as other assets. Now, Senator Cynthia Lummis weighed in on this news, saying, once again, President Trump is delivering for the American people. This landmark rule tears down bureaucratic barriers by putting digital assets on equal footing with every other asset class. Hardworking Americans can finally build real wealth in their retirement accounts. So this is huge, folks. And as mentioned, it's a huge on-ramp to allow more capital to come into the asset class. Now, folks, here's a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by As a Miner. We know crypto has been in a bear market. It's been pretty tough. And the strategy you want to employ while holding your assets is looking at how you can put them to work to get some sort of return, some sort of yield and rewards. Well, ASA is giving you the opportunity to get access to Bitcoin mining and earn passive rewards. So it's focused on simplifying Bitcoin mining. You're not buying any machines, you're not buying hash rate, but ASA is doing the heavy lifting when it comes to the mining, and you can earn a share of the daily mining rewards. So a great option for this bear market to accumulate the rewards and grow it over time. So you're getting exposure to mining rewards and you don't have to do any setup. You don't have to incur high electricity costs and much more. And as far as returns, the platform is showing a daily profit of 1.2% to 1.5%. Now that's what's advertised, but there's no guarantee here. And high returns always need scrutiny. So you want to make sure you do your research and go through everything here. But there's certainly the opportunity to earn. As with all things, there's going to be ebbs and flows depending on when mining operations are done, the hash rate, and much more. But again, in this bear market, it is a better option than just having your assets sit there. So ASA is integrating solar power and AI for efficient Bitcoin mining. So they're doing things that are environmentally friendly. And again, they're taking on the heavy load here and giving you the opportunity to participate. So if you'd like to participate, it's very easy to sign up and there's no technical knowledge required. You simply have to sign up, deposit your crypto, use the calculator and choose the hash rate, activate your mining, earn the daily rewards, and you can withdraw anytime or reinvest. And they also have a referral system where you can get 10% cash back on referrals. So again, folks, as we go through this bear market, this is a great option. It's not risk-free, but it's an alternative angle than just holding. So if you'd like to learn more, go to asaminer.com. The link will be in the description. Okay, moving ahead. Charles Hoskinson's $200 million bet, Midnight, goes live to tackle crypto's biggest flaws. So Cardano, there hasn't been too many, new updates around Cardano recently, but this is a big one. So Charles Hoskinson debuted Midnight, a privacy-focused blockchain built on Cardano that he says addresses crypto's core usability and data exposure flaws. Midnight uses a hybrid model and selective disclosure, so users and businesses can prove facts about themselves without revealing underlying personal data, aiming to make blockchain feel like a simple modern app. Now, folks, we've talked a lot about privacy and why that's so important for institutions. So this is really great to see. I think a lot of blockchains have this on their roadmap. It's a high priority item because institutions are not going to let proprietary data, customer data, and private information just be exposed on the blockchain. They are obviously building with blockchain tech. They're tokenizing and doing much more. but the privacy layer is so important. It's why I've been talking a lot about the Canton network, and that has privacy built into it, and it's a public chain, and why I invested in a token. Now, there's not going to be one blockchain to rule them all, or one blockchain that's going to be a winner. I believe there's going to be multiple winners, but this is where you can take your bets. So, funded personally by Hoskinson and distributed via a massive airdrop to 37 million wallets, Midnight quickly reached a valuation near $1 billion and uses a dual token system to separate speculation of the Night token from the transactions fees, which is called DUST, D-U-S-T. So this is interesting and a big move here for Cardano. Now, speaking of institutions and blockchain, Mitsubishi adopts JPMorgan's blockchain for corporate payments. So JPMorgan's Connexus network is gaining traction among corporations as blockchain-based payment rails scale toward $10 billion in daily transaction volume. Now, we've often talked about the future is going to be hybrid, with institutions building their private permission walled gardens, which is fine. They can use that within their own system, but they're going to have to bridge to public chains. And we know JP Morgan's Connexus has already bridged to other chains like Ondo, as well as Coinbase's Base, the Ethereum layer 2. So don't be surprised if more banks do this, right? It's going to have to be the hybrid approach because these banks may want to do their own thing internally, but they got to go to public chains to get liquidity and settlement. So that's the big thing there. And you're going to see different institutions partner with different banks, and they're going to form their little conglomerates and much more to be able to compete. So the point is, though, notice blockchain tech getting adopted here, right? So this is why JP Morgan, or I should say Jamie Dimon for years bashing it because it disrupts, and now they're forced to bend the knee and adopt the technology and build with it. So really, really incredible stuff. And here's another example, Swift. The whole banking messaging system, or the old antiquated messaging system, now forced to use blockchain, right? They were also naysayers and skeptics back in the day. Now, oh, look at this. Our plans to build a blockchain-based shared ledger have reached a major new milestone. This was tweeted out by the folks at Swift. So they said, after completing its design phase with a global group of banks, we are now shaping the ledger's first MVP iteration, which will enable interoperability between banks, tokenize deposits, and facilitate 24/7 cross-border payments. Folks, send this type of news to people who are still skeptics. They don't understand what's happening here, right? Sometimes they get too blinded by the crypto tokens, and they don't understand the underlying technology of blockchain. Because of the blockchain technologies, that's why you have crypto tokens. The tokens are needed on many of these public chains because they can't function without them, right? They're not a privately funded chain. They're public, and there are different validators and participants and much more. So that's the paradigm shift that's taking place, which a lot of people still can't grasp. They don't understand, right? They still think of companies and stocks, and they're like, how can a network function? How can you have a token, and how can you build it? But eventually, everybody will get educated, because I believe governments and institutions will educate them, and people are going to be using crypto or blockchain-based technology, and they won't even know it. So it's incredible what's being built, and even the detractors and naysayers forced to adopt the technology. Okay, moving ahead, Midas raises $50 million to tackle pain point for tokenized asset investors. So it's great to see capital still being raised and invested here. People are still bullish despite it being a bear market. So Midas raised $50 million in a Series A round led by RRE and Creandum, if I'm saying that right, with backing from Framework Ventures, Franklin Templeton, and Coinbase Ventures. The company aims to help investors exit tokenized yield products faster, overcoming the wait for redemptions imposed by vault-like structures that lock up capital. Midas will be using the funding to scale its Midas Stack liquidity system, a separate liquidity layer that enables instant redemptions by using pre-allocated capital rather than unwinding positions on exit. So as the tokenization market heats up, you're going to see a lot of innovative things like this start to be developed. So, I've often stated, if you have an idea, put that pitch deck together and go to these VCs and hedge funds, guys, you will get capital because this is the time. Everybody's looking to take your bet. Obviously, you have to have a good idea, right? But the tokenization market, this is certainly an era where all the TradFi institutions are moving towards, not to mention the crypto native firms. We know they're going to put all assets on chain. So if you want to even, get very specific or niche, you want to target real estate or gold or stocks or equities, as far as what's being tokenized, you can certainly do that. Or, collectibles and all these things that people find valuable that, from a cultural standpoint. But incredible stuff being built here. Okay, moving ahead, Nium, Nium, launches stablecoin card issuance platform across Visa and MasterCard. So the infrastructure being set up here for stablecoins, tokenized assets, and much more. Let me give you the details. Global payments infrastructure provider Nium has launched a platform that allows businesses to issue stablecoin funded cards through Visa and MasterCard in the latest development, enabling digital dollar balances to be spent at merchants using existing card networks. Nium said the system converts stablecoin balances into fiat at the point of sale and handles settlement, compliance, and card network integration through a single integration. The tech company said it expects to be able to shorten the time required to launch stablecoin card programs from months to days by consolidating conversion, settlement, and compliance into a single integration layer. So incredible the innovation that's happening, and the building is going to get much more easier where it's going to be turnkey, quick out of the box setup. Is just we're in that building phase, and eventually a lot of companies are going to be able to easily launch their stablecoin, tokenized assets, and much more. Okay, final news item. Chainlink and Anchorage Digital back the launch of crypto-aligned PAC. So ahead of the November midterm elections, backers are lining up behind a new hybrid political action committee that allows contributions directly to candidates. So guys, midterms are coming up. Anybody who's anti-crypto is going to get their butt kicked again if they didn't learn their lesson in 2024. So 7 months ahead of the November midterm elections, Chainlink Labs and Anchorage Digital announced that they were the founding contributors to a political action committee to support candidates working to advance digital asset and blockchain policy in the United States. In a Monday announcement, the two crypto companies said they were supporting the Blockchain Leadership Fund, a hybrid PAC that allows contributions directly to candidates as well as independent expenditures such as media buys. So it's going to be a very interesting midterms, guys. Obviously, you have the traditional issues, right? Economy and much more. What crypto is going to do, it's another round of fighting here. But the thing is, we have to watch out for, and I've heard about this from people in DC, the banks are building their war chest this time around because we know many of them are trying to fight stablecoin yield, DeFi. So don't be surprised if the banks, put up a lot of money. So it's going to be a heated midterm election, guys. Let's see how it all plays out and how the dust settles here. But incredible what's happening. And folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Please support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. Be sure to grab a copy of that. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. It is packed with tons of value, write-ups, videos, and it features expert commentary. And folks, right now we have a bear market sale. You can get 50% off the price of the course. Use the code BEAR, BEAR at checkout and get 50% off. So check it out. Knowledge is power. Expand your knowledge about crypto and blockchain technology. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.